Hello, everybody. This is Alex with Disabled Vets Perspective. And as you might notice in the left hand screen, if it's backwards, in the right hand screen, if it's not, I have very special guest Tony Patriot with me this evening. We are going to be discussing some of the political issues and uh, maybe a little fevered banter between the two of us on some of the subjects of the now type of thing. Mr. Tony, tell everybody about yourself and make sure you guys subscribe to Tony, but give us a little rundown of you.
All right. Well, I'm Tony Patriot. I'm I'm a avid Trump supporter. Um, don't think there's much of an option right now to be anything else other than that.
Oh,
Uh,
come down. Yeah.
I'm trying to be a YouTuber, obviously. um,
Well,
but I
we all
start.
try.
Yeah, I just started based off of just watching others just saying that Republicans sit back too much and they don't try. They just sit on their couch and complain. And I agreed with them. So I'm like, I was never much of like one for to be a public speaker or anything, but I was like, I need to do something, other than just talking to friends at work and stuff. So that's why I
Yeah.
started a YouTube channel, and I think I'm happy with the growth I've had so far. It's slow but steady. Uh,
Well, that slow but steady. I was mentioning that earlier. That's actually not a bad thing because if you just get a herd of people flushing into your channel, some of them you want to flush back out. But if you have a slow, steady grind, then typically you're going to get the people that really want to be there and be a part of it. So it's not a bad thing to have a little trickle at a time, and it it kind of makes you also appreciate the ones you have more and more because you get a little more time with each of them as you're growing with the channel.
yeah, I agree. And with the bigger your numbers get, the more haters you get. So
And
I'm already starting to get the death threats and stuff too. So not that I let it bother me. I just report them and block them. But
yeah, I mean that's all you can do. It's like if you can't get in there and have a computer fight with somebody because it accomplishes nothing. I've had one person with a little bit of hate come and visit me, but I think I hit him with so much kindness it made him run off, yiping like a puppy. But I don't have time for that. If somebody wants to fight me, they just have to come and talk to me. But I'm not gonna do that stuff on a computer. It's just stupid.
exactly.
Just send them on their way. So let's kick this thing off. I want to start out with a subject, and just so everybody knows, when I go to articles here, I lose the chat. So if you're saying something to me, it'll take me a minute to see it, but I will see it. Wanted to start out on this article I found about the ICE raids. ICE conducts its largest raid, and let's see there's no Politico. No, where is it at now? ICE sweep. U.S. immigration officials raided numerous Mississippi food processing plants on Wednesday, arresting 680, mostly Latino workers, in what marked the largest workplace sting in the last decade. Rogelio Salis and Jeff Amy report for the Associated Press. So that is the first subject to talk about. What do you think of that, Tony?
Well, I think that's a great start. I'm already seeing the liberal articles, headlines and all. ICE destroying families and all this and that, but they're doing it to themselves. They chose to come here illegally. They chose to not seek citizenship when they possibly could have earned it, legally. Um,
Right.
and that's a way to do it. When you have these areas, I know of areas around me that have tons of illegals working, farmlands and stuff. Um,
Right.
all they got to do is raid them, and I guarantee they get hundreds of them, if not thousands.
Right.
So it's a good strategy. I mean, you're getting them at work, so you don't got to go get them at their house. So it's safer for the agents involved. They're less likely to be armed or anything while they're at work. So
Right.
It's not, when you have thousands coming in a day, taking out 700 in one day. Hey, it's a start, but it's still not enough in itself.
I agree. And as a person who has traveled to other countries, I when I go to their country, I'm showing my passport and giving them everything except for my firstborn son because they wouldn't take him. But you go through the paperwork, you do all what you have to do, and then in the case where I lived in Turkey, you have to check in quarterly, and that's what we did. It's their country, their rules, and if you've got people that come here and then they sit on their ass for 10, 15 years hiding in the shadows when they could have come forward and started a process to become a citizen. And we as patriots, we love everybody, and it takes a lot for us to find hate, and that's not an understatement. You got to really work at it, but these people don't want to assimilate. They don't want to become a citizen. They don't want to change their language. They want to wave their Mexican flags, and then they want to tell us to kiss off when we bitch about it. But that, to me, doesn't resemble somebody who wants to be a part of the team. They want to be a fringe unit and do their own thing. So that's the problem I have with that.
Exactly. Like you said, if we are in the same situation, probably any one of us in the chat, me or you, we're gonna have respect for the country and respect for the laws. Their total disrespect for the laws, their disrespect for our country, disrespect for law enforcement. That's what makes us not really like them. Do I blame people for wanting to come here? No, because they just want to make a better life for themselves, but they have to do it the right way. And Congress obviously isn't helping anything with that. Congress
Right.
the Democrats refuse to help close the loopholes. So until they do that, the people are going to continue to pour in. All we can try to do is deport them.
Right. And when they come in here and then they say, oh, well, they're breaking up the families and stuff, they don't think about that when they are totally aware of their status for these years. I mean, not all of them, maybe some of them just got here, but they're trying to play the system instead of work with the system. They're getting their advice from these left-leaning liberal attorneys, and they're giving them bad advice. Come up and just say you want asylum, and then they'll give you a court case and then run off into the bushes and hide. That's the kind of advice that they're given. And then you have political leaders that are in these counties, in these cities, that are actually, in 2 cases now I've heard, where they're actually going to Mexico. They're helping people to come into this country while they're in Mexico. And last time I checked, that's somewhat illegal. But, I could be way off.
I mean, that would appear to be along the lines of treason to me. If you're like me,
it sure does sound like it.
Right. I mean, it's definitely along the lines of it. If you're like me, you consider what's happening an invasion, and then you're aiding and abetting. That's the definition of treason. So.
Right. And I've said it in a couple of videos now that if you want to move an army into a country to take over, especially a country as powerful as the United States, you bring a bunch of men into the country with a child under each arm, and they look innocent enough, and they dump the kid, and then they disappear off into society. Once they're here, it's real easy to coordinate them and to arm them up. So you can move a whole army into a country and just have them all smiling on the way past you, and then they meet up and come back at you with fully loaded weapons.
Yeah, that definitely could happen. To me, I think the Democrats are just thinking more about votes, because even if they get the people here and the people have babies, now they're set, because now their baby is a natural born citizen. So even if not this election or next election, they're getting their future voting base for sure. And so they don't care.
Right. And it's insane. If you look at the way they talk about the conservatives right now, they want us eradicated. They That really means one thing to me. You eradicate a roach infestation, and you eradicate a rat infestation. But when they're talking like that, we're getting into a territory that's a little uncomfortable.
Uh,
So, you know, your thought.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. They're using, as well, not they, but definitely some are using the language eradication of conservatives, eradication of whites, and it's basically genocide, right? I mean, that's what it's basically means the same thing. Like you said, it means to kill, to exterminate.
Right. Well,
So,
you've got heels up on her back Harris talking about after she wins the presidency that she wants to round up Trump supporters. So there's a second one. What does round up Trump supporters mean? Doesn't that typically mean to gather and imprison or detain? I mean, it's vague a little bit, but it sort of has that meaning.
that's what it sounds like to me. To round up Trump supporters. Well, yeah, I mean, if you want to talk about actual concentration camps, if you're going to round up people, uh, you know, just for their political beliefs, not because they're breaking the law, you know, then
Well,
yeah.
the language is a little startling. I mean, we've sort of seen it coming, but here's the thing that I don't understand. According to the numbers that the left will listen to, they want to constantly say that Hillary won by 3 million votes, but we're already finding that that's not true because they're already up to 2 million illegal votes just in 3 states, and one of those hasn't even been fully counted yet. So there's no chance she ever won. And the 65 million that they're quoting as Trump supporters could be a fraction of what really went for Trump. And if you count that number, 65 million people, they are pushing us away because they don't feel like they need our vote. They're trying to set up where they can use the electoral college against us. They want to control the count of the ballots and do their ballot stuffing thing, and they want their illegal immigration status to have active to make them active voters. So somehow they believe that they can do this without the conservatives and the patriots. I don't see the logic in that, and I don't understand it.
Yeah. But like I said, even if they fail, as long as they get people here long enough to have kids, it's going to be for future generations. They're going to just keep growing the numbers. It might not win right away, but it's definitely a tactic for the future. Even in Texas right now, you have all these illegals flooding in. I mean, how many can we take out? As fast as they're coming in, and they desperately want to turn Texas blue because
Right,
that's a huge state and could change the outcome of any election. That state alone. Um,
right. Well, you realize the Chinese are doing this too. They've got birthing houses. They actually own real estate, and they use those houses to bring Chinese women over on tourist visas, and they are usually extremely pregnant. They house them in these houses. They feed them, they clothe them, they pay their medical, and then they have a child. They get the paperwork done, and then they go back to China with the idea that they can send these children back to the U.S. at a later date to take control of potentially U.S. corporations and run for run for politics or that kind of things, with the idea of the Chinese 1,000-year plan that they will ultimately take over the world and all the superpowers. They don't work on 4-year elections and 10-year plans in China. They work on a 1,000-year plan, and they are very well on their way with it.
yeah, it's something we have to consider. Obviously, I think conservatives will consider things like that, but when Democrats get in office, if they ever do, which we have to make sure we do everything we can to make sure that doesn't happen. But they're not gonna be looking at things like that. They'll say, "Oh, conspiracy theory," for centuries, and then next thing you know, it's happened.
Yeah.
And
Well, you got to be careful with what you say there. Conspiracy theories will get you thrown under the prison now, so you don't want to watch that. Be careful there.
right. Well, I'm not saying it's. I'm saying that's what they will say.
Of course, yes, we would never say conspiracy theory on this channel. No.
Democrats would. I'm quoting them. That's what they would say.
Right.
When we would say China's doing this, they would ignore it. They would.
Well, think of the tactic that's involved with that. If the Democrats are setting up the FBI to come after people that believe that there's a conspiracy theory of one subject or another, think of the tool and the tactic that they have there. They can say anything they want, and we can say that's absolutely not true. And if we don't believe the narrative and we say, no, that's some conspiracy they're coming up with, they can come after us if they pass that stupid little law. So if you don't toe the line, if you don't listen to the rhetoric, and you don't exactly do what you're told to do and say what you're told to say, they will come and round you up. That's what I got out of that FBI deal.
Well, we have to.
And where the hell is Christopher Wray at?
We have to fight these laws. I mean, we can't just sit back and let these kind of laws pass. I don't know. It's a good question.
The problem that we have is elected officials have, unless you're the president, they can turn off their Twitter. They can block you from their Twitter, so they don't even have to hear their constituents' bitches. We know that from AOC. She has been allowed to block people from her Twitter, but the president was attempting to do that, and they had an absolute fit, saying the president can't block people from his Twitter because he's a public servant. So we have to get past the double standard and the conniving games that are done by the left and the bias, and that's a hurdle. That's a big one. We got some work there.
And so, so congressmen are not what they call the president, public figure, elected figure. I mean, they are also. So the same law should apply to them. I mean, they should be forced to have to listen to what we have to say. I mean,
exactly.
They're in a position of power too. So if it's going to be that way for President Trump, it should be that way for all of them.
Absolutely.
Every House member, every Congress member that wants to be on Twitter, then they should and wants to tweet things out, then they should be subject to hearing criticism for that. But
well, I totally agree. But then we go back to you have to let it be known that you don't want a certain law. You have to be able to give your opinion. And if all they have to do is just turn it off, block you, then how do you retaliate against that? Where is your voice at that point? You've been shut off.
Right. There is no voice, right? So they can shut off all the voices they don't want to hear, and then it just seems like everything they say, everybody agrees with, and anybody that's there seeing it will be like, oh, look, everybody agrees. They won't even know that people are opposing it, especially younger people that didn't.
That's true. I didn't think about that, but yeah, if you block the opposing views and all you have are all these rainbows and unicorn views, then yeah, it changes the mood of the public. So that's another little tactic.
Yeah. Oh, they're full of them, that's for sure. Every dirty trick in the book, you better believe that they can possibly come up with and think of, they're going to do. And Twitter and Instagram and Facebook and even YouTube and Google are all in on it. And every mainstream media outlet except for Fox, which can go either way.
Yeah, you got to be careful with Fox. A lot of people don't realize that the CEO of Fox handed it down to his son and stepped down, and the guy's son is married to a psychotic liberal, and she has taken over the narrative that's being used in Fox. So they're starting to swing hard to the liberal. I mean, you look at the people that they're hiring. You can see that they're getting ready to make that shift, and George Soros said it in an interview many months ago, maybe over a year now. He says by the time 2020 happens, there won't be a conservative voice left on any media station or any alternative media outlet. So they plan on shutting us off.
Okay. Well, at that point, that will leave us no choice but to fight. I mean, what other choice do we have?
Well, yeah, I mean, coordinating is also an issue. If you need to make a show of force, if you have to do a rally or anything like that, if they've cut off all forms of communication, then we have to establish an underground network for communicating with the Patriots. Hopefully, by the time they make that move, there's enough of us that have websites that we'll be able to counter that narrative, at least by using our own websites, if they don't shut those down. Yeah, Pete said Fox is just as bad, and I agree.
Yeah, well, I wouldn't say just as bad. I mean, you have Tucker, you have Sean Hannity, you have Judge Deneen. I mean, I think all of these people give fair assessments. Fox and Friends in the
I
morning.
agree with that, but I do believe they've been neutered a little bit.
I mean, yeah, they're definitely heading. They're putting more liberal people in there, and they're heading in that direction. I would agree, but you can't say they completely are as bad. I mean, if they fired Tucker, fired Hannity, fired Angle, Laura Ingraham, Judge Deneen,
That would be bad.
yeah, if they got rid of all them and replaced them with liberals, then they're just as bad, obviously. But I mean, to me, they're more still, they're pushing a little bit. They're pushing more liberal. But I mean, even like when they have the 5 on, they have 1 liberal and they have 4 conservatives. I mean, so it's,
Yeah.
I mean, it's at least somewhat fair,
Yeah, except they've got all these other liberal channels on the planet. I don't think we should have to listen to that garbage at all. That's my opinion. I think that it should be one opinion or the other, and if it's facts, it's facts. If it's banter, then they need to be just told to shut up and go somewhere else and do it.
Like Tucker, for instance, he will bring liberals on oftentimes, but he usually does pretty much tell them to shut up and they're crazy by the end of the segment. But
and I agree with that.
But
let's jump to another subject. Go ahead, finish your statement.
I was just going to say it wouldn't be so bad. It wouldn't be so bad that they're pushing left at Fox if other networks were more even. But the fact that they're left, completely left, and extremely left, and then that's all we have for the right. That's why it hurts that they're putting the leftists in there. If all channels were more fair around the block, it wouldn't be so bad. But the fact that that's the only channel we have, and now they're pushing this liberalism into it, it makes it worse. That's all.
Right. Well, here's another subject. This will be interesting. GOP goes to war with Twitter over McConnell campaign account freeze. And the story behind that is Mitch McConnell was at home during this event in Texas, and he had injured himself. He actually broke his rotator cuff, I believe, by taking a fall. So at home recovering, and a group of left-wing psychopaths started cheering and yelling in his front yard. And on one side, you would hear, "Stop the violence." And then just a couple of people down from there, you would hear, "Stab Mitch in the heart. Get rid of him." So it's like, what the hell are these people thinking?
Yeah, I seen it. I saw it with my own eyes. I saw the protest. Absolutely, what you're saying is correct. People, the hypocrisy is amazing. People with signs saying love, not hate, and then, like you said, people screaming to kill him, burn his house down. Craziness. Not to mention, you're talking about the middle of the night. It's not like they're there during the daytime. They're like, you're not going to get any sleep. They're ringing bells. They're screaming. They're invading his private space.
Yeah,
disgraceful.
But it is disgraceful, and here's the cherry on top of this psychotic Sunday. When the campaign team for Mitch McConnell decided to put a video of the protest up on their official campaign Twitter site, Twitter shut it down. So now their campaign Twitter site, their official site, is no longer available for them to use for posting information to their constituents or to their electorate.
Yeah, that's complete BS. That's something I'm going to touch on tonight too, as well as the first story you brought up. But Twitter is getting very, very biased and clear as day. I mean, if President Trump wants to do something about it, he just has to look at it. They're leaving messages saying, basically, I don't want to get into all of it because I want to talk about some of it later, but actually, I don't have it in front of me. But F you, Ivanka Trump, you stupid effing hoe. Because she said, like, we need unity and we need to stop all the hate in the world. So in response,
well, yeah, she specifically brought up the shootings in Chicago. She says we have had a terrible incident that happened in Ohio and Texas, but we also need to remember the people that are losing their lives in Chicago. And apparently the Chicago mayor had a fit. Ivanka says that they were shot on a playground, and the mayor comes back and says, you are completely incorrect. You're sending out false information, and it wasn't a playground, it was a park. It's like, wow, these people are just that stupid.
Right. Same thing, right? But yeah, and I mean the people on the one guy's page I looked at, I saw it on American Joe, and then I looked up the page myself. People under him are saying, let's kill them all and stuff like that. Nobody's being taken down, but conservative wants to run an ad with the word Christian in it, and it's not allowed. Their bias is just getting so extreme. Everybody go to Parler. We need to get the big people there too, though. We need to get President Trump on Parler. It's great. It's Twitter for free speech. You can say whatever you want. The guy believes 100% in free speech. He made a platform that works just as good as Parler. The only thing is they don't have it live yet. But as it grows, I mean, millions of people are on there already, mostly conservatives. But it's open to anybody. It's free speech. So, I mean, there's an option. We just need to get President Trump. And, there's some big people on there like Brandon Tatum and Candace Owens, like kind of big people, but not big people like President Trump yet.
Right.
But
well,
hey,
it's a pretty big move to get that big of an account moved over. I don't know what they want to happen before that move takes place. Maybe they want to keep adding up this evidence so that when they finally step forward and do something, they have enough evidence to put the CEOs away forever or whatever that takes. I don't know. That one's beyond me. I don't have an answer to it.
I hope so. I hope you're right about that. I hope they're not ignoring it. I hope they're building up the cases, because you can go on there any given time of the day and just look at the hypocrisy. I could type in there, I'm tired of this invasion of our country, and I'll get banned instantly. And people can say, let's round up white people and kill them all, and their post will stay up. And if you report them, you'll get a report back saying this does not violate our standards. I've seen it, examples after examples after examples. So,
well, here's an interesting little tidbit. We've got this campaign, See Something, Say Something, and I think most of us in here are aware that American Joe, had a threat to the president in his chat during a live feed. Well, another guy that I listened to, Whirlwind Revolt, that has had 3 channels shut down. Now he's just on BitChute, but he had the same thing. Another threat that was made to the president, and this was a conspiracy threat because it was done by several people in the chat, using the chat to communicate their plan. This guy calls the CIA, or the Secret Service. He used to work in a very high level in intelligence, so he has a number to the desk basically. So he calls the Secret Service. First time they answer, he gives them the information. Okay, good, we'll give you a call back in an hour. Well, 2.5 hours went by and nobody called back, so he called back. They didn't answer the phone anymore, so he tried the FBI. They didn't answer the phone. So see something, say something, but keep your mouth shut about it.
Yeah, so a waste of time and energy.
Yeah, I mean, what are you supposed to do if it's 2.5 hours? By the time that happens, if there's a conspiracy that's immediate, then you've already lost. And the scariest thought that goes through my head is, what if these assholes are complicit? I
Yeah,
mean, that's the thing that I always think about.
absolutely. Me too. And what if they're complicit, right? And they follow through. And then we lose our president. It could happen. Um,
It could.
Especially the way that they're just.
CLC,
Go ahead.
sorry to interrupt, but CLC says disabled vets perspective. Why aren't they charging these mainstream media places with defamation, slander, and libel? I don't know, because they can threaten an entire population with extermination and they get no recourse. Nothing happens to them. So I don't have that answer. I wanted to jump to another subject here because I believe this one is going to get some feathers ruffled. Um, New York, to make water attacks on cops a felony, faces Democrat opposition. And one pet peeve I had, they are not Democratic. They are Democrats. There's nothing democratic about the Democrat Party. So I hate that when they add the IC on the end of it. But anyway, they're opposing the bill to stop people from dousing police officers. Take it away, Tony.
Absolutely ridiculous. I already covered this on my live stream, because this is just the first step. Total disrespect for law enforcement, and it's going to get out of hand because it's gangs of people doing it, hoodlums, thugs, gangs of trash for human beings that have no respect for law enforcement, that weren't raised by any kind of good parents. They're probably raised by crackheads, that think it's funny to go out and dump buckets of water on police officers and totally disrespect them. That's just a starting point, right? Where does it go from there? So you let them get away with that? No, they need to do something right then and there. They should have took them down and arrested every single one of them for assault.
Yeah, well, I have a lot of reasons why I didn't become a police officer, and that ranks right up there at the top. But the one thing I think about, and the only thing I can think about, maybe they're second guessing the law, because there are times when police officers will come into neighborhoods where the children are playing during the summer and it's hot and it's nasty, and the police get out of their cars with super soakers and arm up the kids with water guns, and they have a big water gun fight. And that's fun, that's entertaining for the kids. And the only thing I can think of is, maybe if there's a halfway intelligent Democrat that's in the law, making the law, maybe they're thinking that would eliminate that part of their community interaction. I have to hope that's the case, but sure. The blatant dumping buckets of water on their heads, especially when the bucket was thrown at the cop in one case, that is absolutely assault. They've got to be able to separate the two.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, I understand. I never thought about the other point. Number one, these weren't children doing it. They might have been children. Right. You're talking 17-year-olds, and there were probably over 18-year-olds and even in their 20s doing it. Maybe some children mixed in, but you're not talking like little children just having fun. No, they were assaulting the police officers, from what I saw, on multiple occasions, thinking it's funny. The police officers were not having fun. They walked away, and drenched.
And the police are being told to stand down.
Yeah, so, that's New York for you, though. When you have a POS like De Blasio and whoever else you got up there.
Homo the Como, or Como the Homo, I don't know, one or the other.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Blasio and Cuomo the Homo, with zero respect for police officers, but damn well, if their house is getting broken into, who they're calling real quick.
Well, the biggest answer to that would be a stand down. The cops go ahead and finish eating their donuts and drinking their coffee. Yeah, we'll get there in a little bit.
Absolutely. Yeah. Oh, I have an intruder in my house. Okay, we're on our way. See you in a few hours.
Yeah, we'll be there in just a minute. And you just sit tight.
Yeah, just sit tight. Glad you don't own any guns since you're so against guns. Good luck.
Yeah.
We'll
Oh,
be
but
there.
you can bet he's as armed. He's probably armed like a small
I'm
militia.
sure he is. He probably has his own personal security arm too. But just the point of it, how dare you
Yeah.
disrespect your cops? Now, it would be different in Florida. I'm sure different cities have mayors that disrespect their cops, but I mean, we have Ron DeSantis who has the utmost respect for law enforcement. He was a law
Right.
enforcement officer. He was in, I think, 2 branches of the military. So, in a state like this, like Florida, it wouldn't be tolerated. Not at all. They would stop it right away.
Well, I think the people would stop it.
Yeah. So,
Florida, I mean, we have some pretty ridiculous areas in Florida, but where I live, you go after the cops where I live, and you're going to get run down. We got a bunch of rednecks with big old 4x4s up here, and they'll just drive over you if you're attacking a cop. I mean, that's just the way it is.
absolutely.
But
I agree.
in the same subject, we're dealing with police, we're dealing with the gun issues. The National Rifle Association accused U.S. presidential candidates on Thursday of trying to politicize the deadly mass shooting in Ohio and Texas, warning against enhanced background checks for gun buyers a day after Republican President Donald Trump embraced the idea. And, I'm not the sharpest tool up in the shed, but don't we already have background checks? I mean, I've got a few of these things, and I've pretty much had them. Interpol, FBI, and local sheriff's department.
Absolutely. I mean, they run a background check. With today's technology, it doesn't take long. I think it's 3 days in Florida. That might even be just like a cool down period in case you're buying a gun with emotion. But
Well, you need a cool down period for a handgun. That's what the 3 days is. The actual background check takes about an hour and a half.
right, exactly.
They can-
That's what I'm thinking.
They can get all of Interpol, all of FBI, and they get the local sheriff's department. They, when I did mine, they actually they came back with my my service that I did for the clown show, and I was amazed at that. But they are pretty in depth. They will find what you've done in the background, and if you've done anything stupid, you're not getting it. So, what is this enhanced background check crap? What is that going to accomplish?
I don't know. That's a good point. One thing, with one of the shooters, I can't remember which one it was. One of the young shooters. He had all kinds of problems in high school. Maybe you remember which one it was. He threatened to shoot up.
Are you talking about the one in Ohio?
Yeah, I think so. And then because he was 17, they weren't allowed to let law enforcement know. So while everybody in the town knew this kid was a danger,
well, here's one of those conspiracy things that'll probably get my door kicked in. But there's also some information out here on the superweb that informed us that that kid's already dead and has been since 2014. So who the hell was the shooter? That's what I want to know.
It wouldn't surprise me. And to not get you in more trouble, but even the Angry Republican covered it the other day. People at the scene, and I heard on a different channel, an employee, worker, everybody there immediately after the Walmart shooting said 3 men in black in masks, Antifa and type of people. So that was their initial reaction. So where do you get a white guy not dressed in all black is the only shooter? Why are we being lied to?
Well, look at the surveillance pictures and then look at the custody pictures. One has got a pair of I guess you would call it potato sack colored cargo pants, and the other one's got a pair of bleached khakis that are just dress pants. So what do? Cut the pockets off on his way out?
Right. Now he's stopping and trying on some clothes in the clothes department.
Right. Yeah, they were having a sale, so he got himself a new pair of pants inside.
We're obviously being lied to. I mean, about the details, just for a narrative. And I would hate to think that they were actually causing these shootings, making these shootings happen just to push the narrative. I would like to think that they're just changing the narrative. You see what I'm saying? but I don't know.
choreography has been a concern of mine for quite a while. So, yeah, but there's the threat to the conservative being a free thinker and potentially a domestic terrorist for thinking outside of the box.
Right. Well, we're
Anyway, I want to get off that subject before they block my live stream, because I noticed that they're already tripping with yours as we're sitting there talking about it. You were dumping in and out. So we'll go to the next topic. And this one is just, it's laughable. But my last subject of the day, if you don't fall out of your chair laughing, then I'm going to have you check your pulse. But we'll get to that in a minute. But this one, exclusive. Trump donor Mark Harahan slams Representative Joaquin Castro after targeted tweets. He's a total demagogue. What he had done is he has tweeted the names and the businesses of the mega donors to the Trump campaign. And in doing so, the moron also outed people that were donating to his own campaign. So that one you can have, Tony. I know you got a lot to say about it.
I didn't hear that part. So that was going to be part of my report tonight. I have been going through some things, so I haven't been as in tune with everything. But I did plan on talking about him putting the donors list out. But I did not hear that he, in fact, put some of his own donors out as well. I did not hear that. That's awesome.
Yeah, the people that he outed apparently are independents, and they the one that they interviewed apparently he donates to Democrat or Republican depending on what they offer and what they say, and most independents do that.
Right, exactly.
So
my company was the same way. I don't tell my company because I don't want to associate Tony Patriot with my company, so I don't tell anybody where I work. But they had the same issue, They donate to a lot of companies, a lot, because we make a lot of money, right? But we donate to people that we think will help. They're good investments for the community, So we donate to all sides, And then you had people protesting it. So what my company ended up doing is just stopping all donations for a while.
That's unfortunate, but that's kind of what they have to do. And now it's getting to the point where you hear Democrat, and it's awfully scary what they're thinking about. It's a totally transitioned party that it doesn't resemble anything from the past in between its KKK days and the 1980s. It's totally off the rails.
Absolutely. Totally off the rails. Like I said, there's that one guy, the guy from Maryland. I can't think of his name right now. John. There's one candidate that he has no chance in hell because he's at like 1%. He won't even make the next round. But he actually was. I liked him. I liked pretty much everything he said, and he was a Democrat. Previous business owner. He said he's against what the direction the Democrats are heading. He wants to get back to the way Democrats used to be, for the working class people. I mean, he said everything right. He might have had one or two bad things he said, but overall, I liked him. I mean, he wasn't that bad really. But besides for that, the entire party is completely off the rails. And Tulsi Gabbard maybe makes some good points, but she's still going to be a gun grabber. She's still going to be Medicare for all. So, and
full-term abortion.
Yeah, free abortions for everybody. So I can't even really respect her. Better, she's a worser of two evils, but the party overall is just, it's going so extreme. You wonder why people are pushing to the right now. I mean, because they need to get away from that. The walkaway campaign is huge and it's growing. I mean, people are just, they don't want to be associated with that anymore. People, Democrats own guns too and want to keep their guns, not just Republicans.
Right.
Citizens, maybe not the leaders they talk about, of course they don't care because they can have armed security and afford to pay for them all the time. But, Democrat people own guns and they don't want to have their guns taken away. So they're walking away from the Democrat Party. Keep it up. I mean, they're destroying themselves.
Well, it's kind of like Nobody Move or We Get It. It's you you picture things like YouTube demonetizing everybody, and you almost picture some idiot standing there holding a gun up to his own head and saying, "If you guys do this, I'm getting it." It's like they're willing to sacrifice themselves if it means taking out the conservative party. It's really a bizarre concept.
Yeah, I don't think there's much thought into it too. It's like a lot of just reaction, right? It's a lot of just let's just turn this into it, even though it's going to come back on us in the future. Let's not even think ahead. Let's just do it. Let's just react. Let's just keep pushing this narrative. And you know, and then the time passes by, and it's like, what? Now you guys were saying this back then, and then they want to try to act like they didn't say it. Like we don't have video. Like we don't have, you know, technology to just show you. Yes, you were saying that. You know,
well,
like you were.
what I really meant to say, that's when they get into their, those words that came out of my mouth weren't put into context. So, yeah.
Right.
But
I
here's
mean,
another subject.
okay, go ahead.
Well, go ahead. Go ahead and finish yours. I want to
just a for example.
To say.
Just a quick for example. You know, they were saying there's not an issue at the border, that it's not a humanitarian issue. You know, and then it gets to the, you know, it gets to the point to where it's a boiling point, and then they're saying, "How dare you say we said that?" Well, we can go back and look on the video. You did say it. It's fact. It's not an opinion. It's not we think you said that. No, we have video footage of 100 different Democrats saying there is no issue at the border. The mainstream media saying there is at the border, and now we have to send $600 billion down there just to help out what's going on down there, when we could have just spent the money to build the wall, or spent a couple of days and fixed the loopholes, and the whole problem would have been solved.
Right.
So
Well, okay, here's one that I find interesting. I think a lot of you may know that Peter Strzok is now suing the FBI for false termination or illegal termination of his employment. Well, that's going to collapse in his face. The only reason he's doing it is to try to protect himself from indictment. And the reason I say that is because when he becomes indicted for the crimes that he did commit, he'll say, "Oh, this is retaliation for me filing a lawsuit with the FBI." But here's another kicker for you. Former top FBI official McCabe sues agency over firing. So now you've got McCabe and Strzok both suing the FBI for wrongful termination of employment, and both for the same reason. They know indictments are coming. But if they can get these lawsuits entrenched into the legal system, as soon as an indictment were to come forward, they can say, "Look at this. I'm filing a lawsuit, so they're coming after me because of that lawsuit."
I mean, you know, I don't know what much to add. I mean, that's pretty much, that's straight and clear. You know, people are going to say it, but I mean, you know, are they going to call them out on it, or are they going to, you know, I mean, no. I mean, the facts are the facts. They got fired for good reason. So
right.
I see your point, and you know, I'm sure that's what they're planning on doing, because they always have these plans. But bottom line is, they got terminated for very good reasons. They deserve to be terminated. People have been terminated for less, believe me. You know,
right.
Way less. For a 20th of what they've done, people have been fired from their jobs. So, you know,
right. And here's another point of it. Another point of the protection. A while back, several months ago, I looked up I was on DuckDuckGo because, of course, Google sways the results. But when I looked it up, I looked up the official number of people running in the Democrat Party. And I can't remember exactly the number. It was like 104 or 114, one of those two. But these are all obscure, no-name people that just all of a sudden threw the name into the Democrat hat. And again, the reason they're doing this is because they're trying to protect themselves from indictment. If all of a sudden an indictment comes down and they're running for the presidency, they jump up and scream, "This is interfering with an election. I'm running for president. You can't indict me during an election campaign." So all these people jumping into the Democrat bandwagon are doing this for legal protection. They know they don't stand a chance, but as long as they stay in it, then they think that they'll be protected.
Yeah, I mean, you can't blame them. They're slime balls, and they take advantage of every little thing that they can and try to turn everything around. It was good to see that Eric Swalwell, that little fairy from California, man, I dislike that guy. He did drop out. That was great. That made me so happy.
Yeah, but he wanted to nuke his own people because they wouldn't turn over their guns. He said, "We have the nukes." So what the hell does that mean?
You're gonna just
we'll blow up our own country if you don't take your guns away.
Right? Yeah, I guess you don't understand how nuclear weapons work, because it doesn't just kill who it blasts. It kills everybody.
Like the entire city.
Right. I mean, so what's he gonna do? Drop it on his own head? I mean, it doesn't make any sense.
Yeah. Well, here's another little kicker about Swalwell. When he decided, I'm going to run for presidency, he says, I am going to relinquish my seat in the Senate or the House, whichever one he is. I don't even give a damn. But he says, I'm going to relinquish my seat because I'm going to run for president. Well, then when he got in there, he saw that there was no favorability in pointing in his direction. He wanted to jump out and then get his seat back real quick. So he had to run to a judge that was, I think he was Obama appointed to to make a judgment allowing him to get his seat back after he relinquished it. And I think that falls under the category of you snooze, you lose, you're out.
Yeah, that's total BS. That can't be right. But who's holding these people accountable? I mean, come on, Trump. You got to do better. Come on, Barr. You got to do better. I mean, and who's briefing President Trump? Are they making him aware of this stuff? I actually got to meet a guy at that one Trump rally thing I went to. Not rally, but the Trump Club. He's actually a guy that does brief President Trump on things. And he has a lot of very interesting ideas. But, I mean, they need to let him know that, like stuff like that, it shouldn't be happening. And right. We should be challenging them just like they do us. We don't want to do the dirty things, but at the same time, if it's legit like that, like you relinquished your seat, no. Now that you're not going to run president, now you want your seat back? How about no? How about you don't get to just go pick it? It's just not fair. Who's looking out for us?
Yeah, I wonder that all the time. But I'm noticing we are at, looks like 1:45. I want to get on this last story here because this is a doozy.
All right, I'm ready.
Oh, this one here says the billionaire owner of Equinox is planning a high-dollar Hamptons fundraiser for President Donald Trump, leading to calls for a boycott of the luxury gym and its associated business Soul Cycle and Blink Fitness. Now, the man is going to do a fundraiser for the Trump campaign. And we got the privilege of hearing from Michael Moore. He says that if this guy does this fundraiser for President Trump, he is going to surrender his membership to Soul Cycle. And that's where you cue the laugh track. I'm going to give you guys a minute to think about that.
That's great.
That one's for the record books.
Yeah, take the cake.
The only way that I could see him having a membership is if they were offering food after or before the workout. Maybe they give you high-calorie food before the workout so you have something to burn off. So he goes in there, eats up real quick, and then hauls ass before he has to get on the bike.
Yeah, I think so. It sounds about right.
That's just
that's striking.
I heard that first on the Dan Bongino show. I listened to him today. Yeah, and he saved that for the end of huh?
I was just going to say he actually ran for office in my district when I used to live up in Maryland, but he didn't win, but unfortunately, but he's awesome.
Yeah, he lost by like 1 point. The slander campaign or the wrap-up smear was used on him, and they had just enough to edge him out. But I think that wrap-up smear, that slander that they use, and the false accusations of crimes and things like that, I think that as soon as they're found to be false, they should be just like every other civilian. If you call in a bogus crime, then you are liable. But elected officials don't have to worry about that.
Absolutely not. Like this nut, that was claiming that President Trump raped her, and then come to find out it was just an episode out of one of her shows,
Right.
just to sell
Yeah.
books. I mean, it's as clear as day. That's false claim, making a false claim, and it's a serious claim, right? What if people actually believed it? What if people didn't catch on?
Yeah. Well, that was her goal.
Yeah, I mean, her ass should be in jail. Well, her goal is to sell books. If she probably doesn't, if she heard Trump along the way, great, right? But she just wants to sell books. She don't care. But her ass should be in jail. That's it. Period. End of story.
Well, I agree. But we are at 10 minutes till the hour. I just wanted to take a minute to say to everybody, please, if you haven't subscribed to Tony Patriot, take a minute and do so. He's going to be going live right after this. I don't know how he does it. I think he's the Energizer Bunny. I'm not going to ask where you put your batteries. That's your business. But make sure you guys get over there and check Tony Patriot out. I want to thank you awfully for joining me on Disabled Vets Perspective. And, I'm looking forward to having you back. We'll do this again. It's been a riot. And I just want to thank everybody that showed up, all my mods for doing their job. God bless you all for being here. And Tony, I want you to take a minute, close out the show, leave them with a good word, and then get ready to do your own show.
Absolutely. First of all, thank you for having me on. I'm kind of upset we didn't butt heads on anything. We kind of just agreed, so could have had a little bit of fun, but it just never happened. Sorry. Unfortunately, we kind of agree on pretty much everything, or at least with these topics anyway, right? So, I mean,
don't make me put a caps lock in your ass.
Everybody's not going to agree 100%, but everything. But for the most part, we agree. But yeah, thanks for having me on, and I definitely would love to come on again. And you have a great show. I watch it every chance I get, and and I definitely want to have you on as a guest soon. Trying to get the great dirtbag is in the chat. I promised he'd be my first guest, so kind of trying to get him on first, but I might have to break my promise if I can't get him on soon, because I've been waiting for months to have guests on, and I can finally do it. So,
well,
definitely want to
hope you get him.
But yeah,
go ahead. Go ahead.
I was just going to say the dirtbag is kind of part of the glue that kind of holds us all together. He supports us unconditionally, and so I would just love to. It would be an honor to have him on. And he's really smart, and he doesn't give himself enough credit. He always says I'm not smart and all this, but he is, and he does a lot of research, and it would be an honor for me to have him on first. So I'm just hoping. I know he's in the chat there. I'm hoping we can make it happen soon.
The great dirtbag, I see you in there. It's Tony and DBP. You guys are great, are awesome, and I think you are too, dirtbag. And get a hold of Tony, because we'd love to hear from you too. That'd be worth an hour long sit down to listen to what you guys have to say. So get over there and talk to him. Let's get you on there so that we can start this shindig.
Absolutely. And I was noticing, Alex, toward the end of the chat, a lot of people were saying, I don't know if they're just being nice or whatnot, but they were saying that we did great together. So we definitely got to keep making it happen. Maybe every couple of weeks or so, if you want, once a month or every couple of weeks. I don't care.
Well, there's always something new going on, so that would be a good idea just to have you on here. I am going to be doing this show every Thursday. I'm sorry, what?
I was just going to say, I don't want to take place of your other guests, but if we can do another night or something, we'll figure something out.
Yeah, I think that'd be great. I'm not going to be one of these onesies or twosies. I want to get people that were willing to come back. Florida Jim, I see him on there. He said he'd love to be a guest anytime, Tony.
Awesome.
I'd like to also talk to him maybe about coming in here. So we can do this every week, and we can have a lot of fun at it. And as long as you guys are still interested, we'll go as long as you want us to go. But I think we are at 53. I want to give you a few minutes to get yourself together so you can go live on your own show. So I think we're going to duck out. And thanks again to everybody for showing up. and we will see you all next Thursday night on Political Talk. Until then, y'all, stay in the fight.
God bless you all.